pathway to freedom from a paycheck. So if you watch my videos, I get a lot of people commenting, talking about, how paychecks are, good things. Nothing wrong with having a job. I got that. There's nothing, of course, there's nothing wrong with having a job. I always say, before you quit your job, make sure you establish another source of income. So there's nothing wrong with having a job. Nothing wrong with that at all. I just warn you that that thing, that job that you're depending on, that you're relying on, that thing, that one thing that takes care of your entire family. Yes, your entire family is supported by that paycheck, right? That one thing is too powerful. It has too much leverage. So what does that mean? Well, think of it this way. If you bought a car and that car was just your dream car, an amazing car, it's something you always wanted, you saved up your money, blah, 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 you got it. But that dream car came without a steering wheel. So what good is that dream car without a steering wheel? No good at all, right? So my warning to you is, what good is building your lifestyle around a paycheck when there's no such thing as paycheck security? Not good at all, right? Of course. So what do you want to do? What do you want your life to look like? Because you need to get free. You need to break free. First of all, you need to break free from the idea of having a paycheck to sustain you throughout your life. To me, that's a very hard way to live. So one of the things I think about a lot that got me to where I am today, and don't get it twisted, I'm not some multimillionaire or anything like that. My company does, well, this year, 300 grand. So I don't make millions of dollars a year. The difference is between me making 300 grand with my Middleman moving business and the doctor or the dentist who makes 300 grand a year is, well, time. You see, I get to control my time and still make 300. What does that look like? Well, you ever heard of the 4-Hour Work Week book? I work 1 hour a week. I do that because I try to stay away from doing the business stuff. Now, don't get me wrong. When I first started, I was doing all of it. But as I grew my business, I hired a VA, a virtual assistant. Now my VA does the booking, takes the deposit, does the dispatching. So I'm not needed. So before I had the VA, I was needed. I was doing all of those things. But now that I have a VA, I'm no longer needed. I meet with my VA once a week, maybe for about an hour, just to do some training, just to talk about the business. That's it. There's nothing else. And so I love the 1 hour work week. Even if my company wasn't doing 300 grand a year, even if my company was doing 100 grand a year and I didn't have to leave my house to do it, I would still do it. I would still do it because people mistake. Listen, my goal is not to make $1 million a year. I would love to, but that's not my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal is to control time. Control as much of my time as I can. So the more time I get, the more life I get. The more control of my time I get, the more control of my life that I get. So if I get the feeling, because I'm like, I'd be having a conversation with my wife and I'd be like, let's take a trip. So I'm very, very spontaneous. I move quickly sometimes. And if I want to have a weekend trip with my family, guess what I don't want to do? I don't want to have to worry about what time I can leave on Friday. I don't want to worry about what time I have to be back so I can get back to work. I don't have to worry about whether or not a boss is going to approve or disapprove of my request to be off. No, I've done that long enough. No, I control my time. I say when I work and when I don't work. Why? Because I use my phone to create a business. It's a small business, yes. And that business works through the phone. So I don't have to be in any office. I don't have to be any morning meetings. I don't need any of that. Because again, the goal is freedom. This is what, think about this. Why are rich people, or why don't rich people have jobs? Why is it that the rich and the wealthy don't have a job like you do, like I've had. They have to know something that we don't know, right? I'm working. I had a job. I was working 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. You want to talk about burnout? That's burnout. That job lasted about 6 months, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it anymore. I was burned out. I was literally falling asleep at the job. I couldn't even make it through like meetings. I was just like, I was burned out. I was working in a plant. You have the pre-shift meetings. My God, I was passed out. I couldn't even keep my eyes open. Sometimes I would blink, think I would blink, and then wake up 10 minutes later like, oh my God, what happened? And I was so burned out that I was caught sleeping on the job probably 3 times. And you know what they did? Just shook my shoulder and said, hey, Shon, wake up, buddy. That's it. Nobody reported me. I never got fired. You know why? Because nobody was dumb enough. I was. Nobody was stupid enough. I was. Nobody was desperate enough. I was to go and work a 7 day a week, 16-hour shift. They knew they couldn't replace me. They also knew I was desperate, and so they paid me a ridiculously low wage. And I learned through going through all of that stuff that you don't want to rely on a paycheck to take care of you. My advice to you is to figure out a way to break free from your paycheck. I don't care what you do. Get vending machines, start a business, start a middleman business like me. It could be a different industry, whatever you want to do. Create a business from your home, sell cupcakes out of your kitchen. I don't care. You need to learn how to train your mind to see opportunities and turn other things into assets, skills into assets, so that you can create cash flow when you're not at work. Your 9 to 5, that's just staying alive. Your 5 to 9, that's when it's time to grind and shine. That's you. When you come home, put that work in on yourself and on your own business. Put that work in on what you want to accomplish and change your life. Don't sit back there and just allow life to happen. Don't sit back there and just always rely on a paycheck. It's going to disappoint you because the paycheck doesn't care about your feelings, doesn't care about your needs or desires. It's going to be this amount all the time. It's going to require this of you. It's going to take care of your family and your bills, maybe. But at the end of the day, it may or may not be there. To me, that's risk. We're always talking about starting a business is risk, investing is risk. You want to know what real risk is? Relying on a paycheck to take care of you. That's risk. They may fire you while you're sleeping. And now you got to start all over. You got to raid that bank account that you should have been using to learn how to make money while you still had the job. Well, Shon, I got $1,000 in my bank account. Well, you should have used that $1,000 and not left it there for an emergency. You should have used it to start a business or learn something or do something so that you could have been making money by now. By the time they fire you, who cares? You don't need a job. But you guys don't. You sit on that money in the bank accounts, and I'm telling you, the bank account is the worst place you can put money besides a blackjack table. Don't do that. But don't sit on these bank accounts. I could go on and on about this, but I'm just telling you all this to put this in your mindset. You've got to break free from that 9 to 5 mentality. You've got to break free from that paycheck. You've got to eliminate the paycheck. You've got to get emancipated from the paycheck lifestyle. Because the truth is, if anything happens to that paycheck, everything happens to you. You could potentially lose everything in the blink of an eye if you rely on that paycheck. My advice: don't rely on paychecks. Peace.